Hi, this is Tutor P, and this is lesson 601. The title of today's lesson is the difference between Munch and Chomp. Okay, somebody wants a screenshot, do it right now. Let's get right to it. Both Munch and Chomp mean to eat noisily. So there is a little bit of a crossover, and even some native speakers sometimes use them close to interchangeably. But there is a slight difference between them, and I'm going to give you hints when you're more likely to use one than the other in certain situations. So let's continue. If a person munches on food, he or she eats it by chewing it many times, thoroughly, often making crunching sounds. So when you're munching, you're chewing a lot more. Kind of like that. If someone chomps on something, it usually starts with a big bite. So usually, kind of like that. And then is chewed noisily. If eaten, usually swallowed more quickly and in bigger gulps than munch. All right, now I said if eaten because sometimes with animals, an animal might chomp off another piece of an animal or a human, and they may not swallow it. It may end up either getting spit out, or perhaps it was torn and it falls, trying to fight off an animal or something like that. So something can be chomped off and not definitely 100% actually eaten and swallowed, even though most of the time when people do chomp, they do swallow and eat it as well. Let's continue. Both could be types of onomatopoeias. I remember that it has kind of the sound originally. So munch is more like when you munch, 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 even though mouth is usually closed. Kind of like that, and that is supposed to sound more like munching. Tends to be more with a closed mouth and tends to be chewed longer in order to be swallowed more easily. So when we munch on things, we're breaking it in our mouth more so that when we swallow it, it will go down easier. All right, let's continue. We often munch on snacks, such as pretzels, potato chips, anything that you could buy like from the convenience store where you bite it and you hear a little crack, and then you chew it more, and then you could swallow it down. We often use it for that. Hard fruit, such as guava, or apples. This is another one too. Sometimes when I cover munch by itself, because sometimes students confuse munch and chew. If, for example, I've seen sometimes writers say that they're munching on a banana. And I think that's kind of improper because banana is very silent. You're not really hearing a lot of noise. Where when you're biting guava, you're breaking it, and apple, so you're more likely to say munch with those. All right, let's continue. Munch is more focused on chewing. Again, still you got to chew it, you got to break it down in your mouth so you can swallow it more easily. All right, chomp is usually started with a large bite, as though one needs to use their teeth to bite something off, and is often thought of as more violent and swallowed more quickly. So there is some difference between chomp and munch. Let's continue. Thus, the wider one needs to open one's mouth, the harder something is to bite off, the more likely one may use chomp instead of munch. Okay. Chomping is often associated with animals such as sharks, crocodiles, or even the animated video game character Pac-Man. All right, let's continue. All right, and we got 6 examples to show just how it's used. I was munching on some peanuts as a snack. Yeah, we definitely say munch on things like peanuts. And peanuts generally are pretty small, so we're not usually saying chomping, because we don't have to bite it off. They're very small to begin with, but you do want to break them down. You can't swallow those peanuts whole. They'll probably get caught in your throat. They make you start coughing and choking. So you really do have to bite them and break them up. All right, let's continue. Number 2, that sheep was munching on some grass. Yeah, something like that. Again, a lot of chewing. Number 3 here, I like to munch on some popcorn in the movie theater. Yeah, so you still hear some noise when they're chewing on that. Okay, good. Number 4, that shark chomped off that diver's arm. So again, this is another example where you say somebody might chomp something off. Again, this is an example where he may or may not have eaten the arm. I don't know, but he definitely bit it off. Number 5, he chomped his way through that large Subway sandwich, or submarine sandwich. Yeah, basically. Well, Subway is the name of the food shop, but we say submarine sandwich, the long one. Yeah, so again, the bigger the sandwich, the more likely you might use the word chomp. You know, you have to open your mouth wider. If you remember the old cartoon, you know, in the newspaper, Dagwood, he used to try to make those really big sandwiches. So you definitely might use chomp for that. All right, and the last one here. Pac-Man likes to chomp on power pellets. Well, if you ever played the video game Pac-Man, you see Pac-Man's mouth opens really wide, so they usually do use the word chomp with Pac-Man. Of course, Pac-Man is a very noisy game anyway. Anyway, I hope you got it. I hope it's clear. I hope you got a better feel of when you're more likely to use either Munch or Chomp now. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.